Okay, so our next lesson is on what is called the cast rule. And to explain that, we're just going to look at a few examples of some angles in standard position and looking at their sine, cosine, and tangent ratios. So if I complete the triangle, this is 4, the base is 4, the height is 3. This turns out to be the Pythagorean triplet 3, 4, 5. So the sine of theta is 3/5. Cosine is 4/5. And tangent is 3/4. So you can see that right here we're in quadrant 1. And all ratios are positive. Sine, cos, and tan are all positive. And now here we're in quadrant 2. And I'm going to draw my triangle again. This time the height is 3, the length is -4, and that terminal arm is 5. So this is my reference triangle, and this is angle theta here, which is drawn like that. Sine theta is 3/5. Remember that this 5, the hypotenuse is always positive. So 3/5, cosine is -4/5, and the tangent -3/4. So in quadrant 2, the sine ratio is positive. And now let's look at quadrant 3. So in quadrant 3, same triangle. This is -3, -4, and 5. Sine -3/5, cosine -4/5, and tangent -3/4, -3/4, which is positive 3/4. So those two negatives cancel each other out. Here the tangent ratio is positive. All right, and then lastly, in the final example here, quadrant 4, there's our reference triangle. Here's the angle theta, -3, 4, and 5 again. Sine is negative, cosine is positive, and tangent is -3/4. So lastly, in quadrant 4, the cosine ratio is positive. So in general, the cast rule says that in the quadrants, all are positive in quadrant 1. And then 2, 3, and 4, it was cosine, over here sine, and here tangent. So you can see that C-A-S-T. Okay, so that's where the word cast comes from as we go around the quadrants. So here tangent. Okay, so now what we're going to do is use this to help us determine an angle measure. So sine of theta is 3/4. So what I want to do is decide which two quadrants could that angle be in. So if sine is positive 3/4, either I'm here or I'm in quadrant 2. So it's either here or here. So I'm either talking about this angle or this one. So when you're doing a cast rule question, often there can be two possibilities, two answers in one rotation. And what do I mean by a rotation? 0 to 360 degrees. So that is one rotation. Okay, so if I want to find first the reference angle, I'm going to take the inverse sine, or cosine or tangent, depending on what it is, of the absolute value of this, 3 over 4. Well, that's positive 3 over 4. And if I do that, I get 48.6 degrees. So either this angle is 48.6, and remember that in quadrant 1, the reference angle is angle theta. So 48.6 is one of my answers. Or over here, the reference angle is 48.6 degrees. So the question is, how big is theta? Well, I would take 180 degrees and subtract 48.6, and I would get 131.4. So those are the two angles that have a sine of 3/4, positive 3/4, that is. All right, let's see some more examples with cast rule. So find the measure of an angle, angle theta, given that cosine theta is negative. So I'm going to start by thinking about, where is cosine negative? Well, here and here, because here they're all positive, and this is where cosine is positive. So my answer cannot be there. It has to be in quadrant 2 or 3. All right, so now I'm going to find the reference angle by doing the inverse cosine of the absolute value of negative 3/4, which is positive 3/4. And that gives me the reference angle. And so if I do that, I get 41.4 degrees. And now this other piece of information, that negative sign, tells me that my reference angle is either here, and this is theta, or that reference angle is here, and this is theta. So I have two possibilities. So theta is 180 degrees minus 41.4, which is 138.6 degrees, or it's 180 plus 41.4, which is 221.4 degrees. So this might be an opportunity for you to pause, try these two questions. Remember, this one, tangent is negative, so where can I be? This one, tangent's positive. Where would that be? What are the two possibilities? And solve those two on your own. All right, so what I would do first is find how big is the reference angle. Take the inverse tangent of the absolute value, 3/4, that's 36.9 degrees. Think about the cast rule. Where is tangent negative? Oh, and you can see I've done it wrong. Whoops. C-A-S-T, my bad. Where is tangent negative? Well, not here, because that's where it's positive, and this is where it's positive. So I either have a 36.9 degree reference angle, and this is theta, and that gives me 143.1 degrees, or down here, this is 36.9 degrees, and this much larger angle is theta. And that possibility, the second possibility, is 323.1 degrees. So I hope you got that. And now the last one, this one, tangent's positive. So that tells me that I'm either here or here. But first, let's find the reference angle size. So tan of theta is 0.9397. So the reference angle is the inverse tan of that value. So my reference angle is 43.2 degrees. So this is 43.2. Well, in quadrant 1, that would be theta. Or this is 43.2, so that's my other possibility, which would be 200.